Surah Al-Maida 5 and Ayah 89. لا يؤاخذكم الله باللغو في أيمانكم ولكن يؤاخذكم بما عقدتم الأيمان فكفارته إطعام 10 مساكين من أوسط ما تطعمون أهلكم أو كسوتهم أو تحرير رقبة فمن لم يجد فصيام 3 أيام ذلك كفارة أيمانكم إذا حلفتم واحفظوا أيمانكم كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تشكرون. Allah will not catch you with nonsensical or ungrammatical talk in your right, and He will catch you with what you have fastened, tied the knot in your right. And the atonement, amendment, correction is feeding of the 10 needy persons from an average of what you feed to your family, or guard them, or liberate free a slave. Then whosoever does not find this, then fast for 3 days. That is the atonement, amendment, correction of your right, when you take an oath and preserve your right. Likewise, Allah clarifies His ayah signs for you so that you may be thankful. Now, in this ayah, you see, first of all, we have to understand what is our right. Allah will not catch you for your right. What is right? You see, in the Quran, Allah says that on the day of judgment, people will be on the right side, on the left. It says right, Ayman, and left. So, right means what is right in the nearness of Allah. So, there are certain do's and don'ts mentioned in the Quran, that is your right of a believer. If a believer follows the right mentioned in the Quranic ayahs, that is your right. For example, do you understand do's and don'ts? I give you, for example, to say good to mankind, that's the right. That's the responsibility that's your right. I always do good for mankind. For what? Because Allah says so in the ayahs. So it becomes my right. So it says to have good behavior with your parents. So that is my right. So if I do against that, then I have to do all this what I'm saying. This ayah. You follow what is your right? If your right is what the Quran says about the do's and the don'ts, that is your right, becomes your right. This is my right. So this is wrong and right. This is the word in Arabic is right and wrong. So what I practice the right of the Allah's ayahs, the do's and the don'ts of Allah's ayahs, that is the right, my right. So now it says to be moderate in your walk, to be quick in forgiveness, to measure full, and just give you an example. To spend something from whatever you love most, to hold for forgiveness, to seek clarification against charge, to give charity, so to make corrections, to eat lawful food, to perform Hajj. So there are so many things and do's and don'ts. So that is your right. That means this I have to perform and practice. So Allah says Allah will not catch you. Like for example, I have to say good to people, right? And I jokingly say something bad to people, but I didn't meant it. So Allah says Allah will not catch you with your nonsensical, ungrammatical talk. Means it was nonsensical, it doesn't make sense. You are not making sense out of it. I said something which doesn't make sense. Ungrammatical means I didn't mean it. In other words. So He says He will not catch you for your nonsensical, ungrammatical talk in your right. Your right. And He will catch you with what you fastened. Tied the knot in your right. That you make sure you have made a knot. That yes, I will be bad to this guy. When Allah says good, say good. You start saying bad and you meant it. Which was not right basically. You're right, should have not done it. Now for that Allah says, in that condition you are right. And the atonement and amendment correction is the feeding of 10 needy person from an average scale of what you feed to your family. This is very important. If I am, suppose I provide nourishment of a higher status to my family, so if I have done something wrong, now I have to provide the food to the needy is the average scale what I feed to my family, not some dal roti. Some, what do you say in English? Eh? Who knows? You English, you know. What is dal? Lentil. Eh? Pulses. Pulses and bread. And you are eating chicken and mutton and fish. And for other guys, or you're giving little, no, you have to provide the food and high standard of an average scale. What you eat, if you go against the, if you have broken the right, you have to make a knot in your right. So now you have to do what you have to feed the 10 needy person from an average scale, what you feed your family. 1. Then you guard them with clothes, what you wear. Not from lighthouse. From a standard of you wear. Uniform kind of, or liberate a free slave. Or liberate a free slave. Then whosoever does not find all this, then fast for 3 days. Now you will be able to fast. Now you want to fast for 3 days. That's the easy way out. Otherwise, it's a more expensive, That is the atonement, correction of your right when you take an oath that I will not say bad again. I give you an example. If I have to say good to people, I have to be good to my parents. And if I became bad, so now you have to fast for 3 days. Or give food and nourishment of 10 average people, 10 people, needy persons of an average scale what you eat. Or you give them, clothe them. Otherwise you fast for 3 days. That is an atonement, correction of your right when you take an oath. And preserve your right. Because preserving means that you do not do wrong again. You keep and say, I will not be bad to my parents, and then I fast for 3 days, and then again you are bad. Then preserve your right that you should not do it again. Likewise, Allah clarifies His eyes, signs for you so that you may be thankful. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you must understand, I gave you one example. This ayat is full of your wrongs. If this ayat is explaining you all the right that you practice, and if you go against that right, you have to fast for 3 days. So this is an ongoing, continuous process. And I'm asking anybody can raise the hand who has been fasting beyond Ramadan. That he understood that I've been doing wrong, now I was doing right, then I did wrong. Meaning I was establishing the salah and I didn't establish the salah, then I don't have to establish that, I have to fast for 3 days. I was not doing good to my parents, became bad, then I fast for 3 days. How many people in the audience are doing it? Believe me, this is the I've been doing it, and I'm asking you and I'm clarifying you that this is the most important ayah, that all your right that says in the Quran, you have to know them, and then you make sure that if you do it wrong, you have to fast for 3 days minimum if you don't have money. Otherwise you provide. So this is a fast which is an ongoing, continuous process all your life. You can never be fat person, because you have done so many wrongs, believe me. It is not the only month of Ramadan you fast for 1 month of Ramadan, 1 year. There are many fasts. This ayat catches you of all your wrong, of your fasting and tightening and not. Backbiting. Continues your backbiting, believe me. Men and women both. Easily they are backbiting as for nothing. Allah doesn't say anything. He's asking you not to backbite, investigating. So many ayahs I can tell you. I can tell you number of ayahs which people are not practicing, and for every that you have to fast for 3 days. There will be hardly a day you can eat normally. If you want to be a really believer in the nearness of Allah. Believe me. You will keep, this I'm going wrong, this I'm doing wrong, deliberately you're fasting knots and knots and knots. So now you go back. If you go back, you have to fast for 3 days minimum. Otherwise, if you're a rich guy, keep on feeding the poor. And keep on clothing on an average scale. What you eat, not lentils. Pulses, not pulses. Because you are not eating pulses. You're throwing it to the animals. So my ladies and gentlemen, this ayat is the basic ayat that a person should know that where did I went wrong, so I have to make sure that I did wrong. So you 3 days for fast, I have to fast. And Allah says fasting is better, always says. The first ayat I read. In comparison with charity and other things, He says fasting is better for you. And people, believe me, people do not want to fast. If they are healthy also, they don't want to fast. So this is how you improve your this thing. I just want ayat, then I end my lecture. Surah Al-Ahzab 33 and 35. You know, in Quran, there is a word tayyib means good and khabis means bad. Good means a good intent in life. A person who has a good intent in life, that is tayyib. And there is a khabis person, and in English language it means who has an evil intent on other person, for other person, evil intent, always looking at people's faults and finding faults and having a bad intention for other person. He's a khabis man. And there is a tayyib means who is always looking for good in others and for him also. That's a tayyib. So what is the descriptive behavior of a tayyib person, a good person, is mentioned this whole ayat. Al-Ahzab 33 and 35. Innal muslimina wal muslimat والمؤمنين والمؤمنات والقانتين والقانتات والصادقين والصادقات والصابرين والصابرات والخاشعين والخاشعات والمتصدقين والمتصدقات والصائمين والصائمات والحافظين فروجهم والحافظات والذاكرين الله كثيرا والذاكرات أعد الله لهم مغفرة وأجرا عظيما. Surely the submitting Muslim men and the submitting Muslim women and the believing men and the believing women and the devout men and the devout women and the truthful men and the truthful women and patient men and patient women and humble men and humble women and men who give charity and women who give charity, men who fast and women who fast, and men who guard their private parts and women who guard their private parts, and men who remember Allah a lot and women who remember Allah a lot. For them Allah has prepared forgiveness and a mighty wage. So the ayat that means for good men there is a good woman. You can write down is Surah Nur 24 and ayat 26. So now the question is, in this I just want to establish one point, and that is these are the character traits of a human being to be good in this life. You have to submit to Allah as a man and woman. You have to believe in the eyes of Allah as a man and woman. Then you have to be devout to Allah, men and women. Then you have to be truthful to yourself. Not only to Allah, you have to be truthful to yourself in the nearness of Allah. And you have to have patience when you struggle for Allah's ayahs or you govern your personality by Allah's ayahs. There are barriers. There are shaitan brings barriers. Then you have to have patience. And then you have to be humble for Allah. And humble for, this is all I'm telling you, humble for this. And they also give charity. And he also fasts, as mentioned in the Quran, so many mistakes. He's keeping continuously fasting. And he's guarding their private part, men and women. And remembers Allah a lot. This is the personality character trait of a good man, whose intent is good for himself and others. And that is tayyib. In Arabic, taba, tayyib, good. And khabis is a person who is the exactly opposite, who is always looking at evil intent for others. Mischievous person. So this is the behavior that we have to attain to. That is the purpose of lectures, of this whole lecture. All I have discussed. If there is any questions, you can come and ask, clarify. I end this. Thank you.